Hey, much ado about nothing. Blistering Rage in Modern. Oh, so much good stuff. Oh, this is the turn 2 kill hand. If we had, like, not a Kiln Fiend and a -1, I don't know, Manamorphose for lands. But since we don't have lands, oy. Well, this is. Now you're seeing the downside of the deck. It looks awesome when it's going awesome. But then there's times when you mulligan, don't have a creature, and do nothing. So keep that in mind. I mean, because the deck's so cheap, it's worth it. Like, yeah, you're gonna lose some not tiny percentage of your time of the time to yourself, but that's the risk you take with an all-in deck like this, and it's so cheap that it's still worth it. Well, so why this hand is very likely not going to win us the game. I'm kind of glad that we had one of these hands, just so you can see that side of the deck. While it looks awesome when we're killing Affinity on turn 3 through blockers with 1/1s, then it looks pretty bad when you play lands, have a bunch of rituals and pump spells in your hand, and do nothing. I mean, it's not impossible that we win, but once the game goes past turn 3 or turn 4, the odds of us winning is very small. Because our opponent has time to get removal, get things set up, get blockers. Delver. I think if our opponent ever plays a Thoughtseize or something, we're probably going to scoop. Just to not give away the info. Knowing what we're playing definitely would impact sideboard plans. Bring in as much removal as possible. Our opponent could think we're like burn with a really bad draw after seeing just mountains. And maybe not bring in a ton of removal. Basically, you don't want them to bring in removal and don't really want them to bring in like dispels and spell pierces. So them not knowing what we're doing would help. Although it's definitely suspicious that if we're burn or like goblins or something, that we're just doing nothing over and over again. You would think that we would at least be like throwing burn spells at their face or have some sort of goblin. I guess they could think we're a Blood Moon deck, like some sort of big red Blood Moon deck. I don't, with a really bad draw. I don't know. I don't know what they would think is in our hand at this point, but we're not going to give away information if we can help it. I almost don't know if we even try with a creature. I mean, if we can get our opponent to tap down and draw like a Swiftspear, we could just win on the spot with ritual, Titan Strength, Mutagenic Growth, Assault Strobe. So it is possible, especially with a haste creature like Swiftspear, that we could just one-shot our opponent. Another Titan Strength. Well, we'll see. We're going to have to draw it soon. Maybe what we do, if we have to discard, maybe we discard Desperate Ritual, which might make our opponent think we're a Storm deck that does not have blue mana. Like a Storm deck with a very badly built mana base. And that might get them to sideboard out creature removal. Our opponent discards a Snapcaster. Yeah, let's try that. I actually kind of like that plan. We might be able to manipulate our opponent's sideboarding by discarding rituals. Try to make them think we're a Storm deck to mess up their sideboarding plan. Is this just straight blue-black Delver? We're also down to 5. Actually, let's cast Manamorphose. Spell Snare. Alright. Well, I think we might be able to convince our opponent we're a bad Storm deck, which could work in our favor in game 2. Although they probably will bring in more counters and discard, which still isn't great. I don't know, maybe I'm way overthinking what we're showing our opponent. Okay, so they are Grixis. And Lightning Bolt for the win. Alright. Well, we'll see. Maybe, like I said, that happens with the deck sometimes. Maybe we can use it to mess up our opponent's sideboarding plans. We could bring in more creatures. They probably have a lot of removal. Like Crusader, make sure we have creatures. Pyromancer does the same thing. It's kind of why they're in the deck, is for removal heavy matchups. But I'm thinking that our opponent's going to sideboard out removal. I'm really hoping we convince them that we're a bad Storm deck and they sideboard things out. Alright, let's see how this hand goes. Alright, no creatures, mulligan. So we can try to scry into a creature. This hand is solid if we find a creature. It's a pretty early win. Let's Manamorphose, bottom. That's not a creature. Well, this might just be one of those matches where we lose to ourselves by not having a creature. We have 12 creatures in our deck, which means we should usually have one. Alright, well, there's no sense in scooping the whole match now. Blue to Delta, cracks it. Watery Grave. Opponent is down to 13. And a Delver. Come on, Swiftspear. Or Mountain. Well, we might go through this this entire match without ever casting a spell. Opponent flips with Acerb Visions. Gets in with Delver. We have enough damage to win in hand. We don't have enough lands to... Ooh, Pyromancer too. Another Assault Strobe. Alright, pass. We don't have enough lands to Swiftspear. We would need to Swiftspear, Titan Strength, Mutagenic Growth, and Teamer Battle Rage all on the same turn to be able to win. And we don't have enough lands for that. I guess because our opponent's at 12, though, that changes it a little. Another Mutagenic Growth. Well, this is what happens when you don't draw or mulligan into a creature. Now, this is what happens when you don't draw or mulligan into a creature, so keep that in mind. It is the flaw of this deck, and it's pretty unavoidable. Just mulligan aggressively into creatures. Maybe we should have went all the way to 5 here, because you don't need that many cards to win. Angler. And Swiftspear? Apostle's Blessing. Alright. Well, like I said, sometimes you just can't find the creature in this deck. Alright, that happened.